So welcome, Aurelie. It's great to have you with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, I love the name of your business, Happitude at Work, and I'm really excited to understand more about how we can bring more happitude and positivity and all these great things into our work lives. But before we do, I'd love to know, how did you get your business started?
So before I became a happiness at work expert, I had a background in event management, marketing, and sales. And I often heard from my ex-colleagues that I was the one to bring people together and to create a positive environment at work. And it's what I love the most. But at the same time, and I guess like a lot of people, well, I had different kind of frustrations at work and at different levels. So frustrations like, related to miscommunication or too much negativity from a colleague or from a boss. And on top of that, many years ago, I was a bit bullied at work, and I realized the impact not only on my health, but on my motivation and on my performance at work.
Mm-hmm.
So along the years, I noticed the lack of awareness in companies. And I wished to have, more employees and leaders who would realize the impact of their behaviors at work. So I needed to take action and to speak about that in teams. So it's when I decided to focus on my strengths, to learn from top experts on the topic of positive psychology and happiness in the workplace, to be finally able to support the teams to implement a strategy of happiness at work. So yeah, this is how I started. And now I'm helping thousands of employees and working for small and SMEs and multinational companies to boost their productivity, but as well their happiness within their teams. Yeah. The need is here. We all need to be happier at work.
Yeah, absolutely. And my background was, before I started my own business, I was an expert in internal communication and employee engagement, and seeing the impact that when people feel connected to their work, then the difference is just black and white. And we did a lot of work on that with our organization, but it made it really tough when people left and went to, because unfortunately I left in 2008 during the banking, just after as at the start of the banking crisis, and our bank got bought out and a lot of the staff lost their jobs. And unfortunately they went to other banks and they were just like, well, what's this culture? Because it was so different to the positive culture that we'd created, that was very open and all of this. So I can see that your work is very much needed out there, unfortunately. But it's great that you're there to do that.
It's all about creating a safe environment at work where people can feel good, can feel, themselves, and can feel really happy in the workplace, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And it was interesting at that time in the UK, the government did the UK government invested in research to find out what would make their companies more competitive. It's called the Metcalfe Report. And the number one thing that he said was internal communications and employee engagement. Is once people are happy and engaged and they go the extra mile willingly and they enjoy what they're doing and they support their colleagues and they have this open environment, then productivity goes up and costs go down massively. So it's not just a nice thing to do.
No, happiness is the basis. And then you are more creative, then you are more engaged, then you are more motivated, and then you are more successful. Happiness is definitely the basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask you, but I'm going to come back to that question, how we as individuals can embrace that, because of course we don't have a boss that's going to help make this happy environment. We have to do it for ourselves. So I'm intrigued if you have any advice on that. But I'd love to know, when you got your business started, was it an easy decision for you? It sounded like a very natural progression, but I know from experience it probably wasn't.
It sounded like that, but not really. No, I think, you never know what to expect. I think it's super individual when you go on your own. And when I quit my job back in 2017, I decided first to have a break and to think about how am I going to help employees implementing a strategy of happiness at work, because I've been learning from experts. I have now the content, I have the motivation, I have the passion. How am I going to start? So I needed to take some time, and it's why I quit my job. And I had, I could do that. So I was really happy to take some times off. And on top, I'm being a mom of two, I needed to recharge my batteries before starting a new project. But my biggest learning is that you cannot plan. And that's the reality. So when ideas and opportunities and amazing people come to you, you just don't think and you jump. So, and this happened to me exactly that way. I didn't have the time to take my 6 months break and to reflect and to be, to have this easygoing path. I didn't have the time. So after just 1 week off, I had so many ideas on how to start. And after speaking to my friends and speaking to my network, then I started to find clients. And then I started my project already, even though I didn't feel ready. So yeah, being an entrepreneur is definitely not easy, but it's great at the same time. I think it's like being a mom. I always say it's the hardest job in the world, but it's the most beautiful one. So
Yeah.
yeah, we do have ups and downs, and it is not easy, but it's beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. And just like being a mom, just as you think, yeah, I've got it. I understand how to manage them at this stage, and then they grow, just like your
Yeah.
business. Or the next opportunity comes, and like, all right, how do I manage this one? So
Yeah.
that's kind of what keeps it interesting and
Yeah.
keeps us learning and growing as well.
Definitely. And I think for me as an entrepreneur, it's not easy to be, by myself. I mean, I am a one-woman show. And of course, I hire freelancers to help me on specific project, but I'm most of the time alone. I don't have a real team. And this I miss so much because I I gain the energy from people. And then not having a team with me on a daily basis, it's quite hard. So in the near future, we might change that, but I find it's my struggle at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're not alone in that, because I think it's what's really interesting about this podcast is in interviewing. I think we've interviewed nearly 50 women now, or more than that, about what it's taken them to succeed. And what it's taken them to succeed is there's so many common elements. But at the same time, the biggest struggle everybody has mentioned is that being on your own, being that isolated. And we must find a way to do that. Perhaps we'll start up a driven female entrepreneur think tank on that.
Yeah, being part of a community helps me. But now, with the lockdown, I'm not going to networking events anymore. So that's a struggle as well. And we need to find a solution on that for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking already, to have a team with me, because if you want to grow your business at one point, you need to have, a team around you that supports you, basically. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even to start off with, you need a team, and that team may be a supportive partner or a cleaner or a nanny to look after the kids, or even just a friend that will take the kids one afternoon. I think that's still, for me, that still counts as your team.
Oh yeah, definitely. And thank God I have that. I have a great supporting husband for that, and great friends I can turn to. But it's, having a team on a daily basis, just speaking about the business, that's something a bit different. I think it's two kind of teams for me. Yeah.
So I want to come back to something you mentioned, because I think it's a really important point that lots of people early in their business miss. And I often hear women and they're like, yeah, I want to start my business, but first I want to set up a website. First I have to do this. First I have to do the other. And you did what I've done and lots of other people have done, and realized that actually your first clients are much closer than you think. And you reached out to your network, told them what you're doing, and then you got your first clients.
Yeah.
And I think lots of people miss that. But was it difficult for you to reach out to your network and say, this is what I'm doing now, or these are my ideas?
No, because I was not ready. It was not my point to sell, basically. My point when I reached out to my friends and to my network was just to explain, hey, I just quit my job and I want to help employees to be happier in the workplace. I've been learning from top experts and now I have these ideas. What do you think? And then I was just, not pitching, but just putting all of my ideas on the table. And then because, I had their ideas and they challenged me, because this topic of, bringing happiness in the workplace, especially 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago, was not so easy and was not really common. Now, we speak about that a lot, but when I started, I was one of the only one in Switzerland, basically. So it was not pitching, and it's why it was so easy. I was just, sharing my passion, sharing my authenticity. And then, they challenged me and they could see that, I have been learning on this topic. So I know my topic. And then they could feel that, yes, you're ready. Let's do it. Let's try to do a workshop together. And it's how it started, basically. Yeah. And then after another, it's growing.
That's
but
wonderful.
I would say don't wait until you are ready to start. For sure not. You need to know your topic. You need to have a few things clear, but speak about it. And then you will see where it brings you.
Yeah, totally. And that was, I think it's in not Profit First, the Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz. He says the same thing, put your ideas down, share it with your network, and let them give you feedback. And if they give you feedback, take that on board and see which fits with your vision, and add that in.
Yeah.
And at some point, someone's going to say, well, how much? Or how can we work together? And that's the point, right, I've got the right idea now, and move
Yes.
it forward. So it seems like you instinctively took that approach.
Yeah. I didn't even want to charge my first client. I didn't feel like it, like, no, I'm going to do it for free. It's going to be a test, But at the end, yeah, they even paid me because it was great for them and great for me. It was a great learning from both sides, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great. I love that advice. Just get started and see where it takes you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've said several times on the show before that where you start is never where you end up, but so it doesn't really matter where you start. You just need to start somewhere, start building your confidence, building the skills, building the connections, building the referrals, the testimonials, and then see where you go from there. So yeah, brilliant. So when you got started, was there anything that really stood out as surprising or something that you didn't expect from being your own business owner, either good or bad things?
I didn't expect that I would struggle so much to find a balance between the Aurelie the mom, Aurelie the wife, Aurelie the friend, Aurelie the businesswoman, and Aurelie me,
Yeah.
So I have like different hats, and it should be only one hat, but I think like a lot of women that you are interviewing, I'm struggling with that. I am struggling to manage as well my stress level, and because we need to manage so many things at home and with the kids and with the business and with our own life. And I'm really struggling, and I knew it, but it's like a lot of things in your life, until you live it, until you feel it, you don't realize it. And now I am right in the middle of it, and having a lot of hats on, even within my business. I'm helping clients, but then I'm developing my own tools, and so it's within my business I have different hats. Within my life I have different hats, and this is a struggle. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and that balance is key. And when I'm working with my clients, it's all about getting the clarity, getting the balance, getting the profit. And I think those three things really go together hand in hand to create the momentum, the confidence, the impact that you want to have, and ultimately the lifestyle you're looking for. And I think when it comes down to finding that balance, it comes down to standing up and being the leader of your business. I think very often I see people just taken over by their clients and just becoming a slave to their clients, or just creating a job rather than a business. They don't sort of stand up and lead their business. And to do that, you need to have the clear planning in place. And of course, you need that flexibility, because you want to be able to say yes to brilliant opportunities as they come up, but also create boundaries around that as well.
Definitely.
And
I need to learn that more.
Yeah, and it's a bit of trial and error. It takes a bit of time, but once you do that, and once you have like a time budget that you start to develop that works for you, and setting in some simple practices just to say, okay, this is when I am contactable. This is when I'm working, but the kids can come in. This is when I'm working, but I need to focus. And letting everyone know that. And the game changer for me was on my office. It used to, when we moved in, it's an old chalet that we've been renovating, and my office used to just have a curtain, and the kids would just come in all the time. But now I've got a door. It's amazing. So I think you need to kind of create that door, if it's a real door or just a kind of like metaphorical door. Is that the right word? But yeah, setting the boundaries is really, really key, and it can help to have some external perspectives on that, because you're just so stuck in the moment trying to do everything. You need sometimes some external eyes on that to help.
Definitely.
So you we're talking about Hapitude at work, and how you work with employees and or companies to help their employees to really have this not really happy attitude, but to really feel comfortable and at ease in their workplace. How can we, maybe this is outside your scope, but how can we as individual business owners adopt that kind of atmosphere at home?
So I think first you need to understand a bit more about happiness and this Hapitude, yeah? Because I mean, happiness is a skill. Happiness is a mindset. Happiness is an attitude. Hashtag Hapitude. So we can learn to be happy, basically. And we can, how should I say that? We are taking care of our happiness in our private life. So why don't we take care of our happiness in our professional life, basically? So we need to achieve, I think we need to achieve a goal in order to be happier. Or we think that we have a tendency to think that our happiness is basically related to our circumstances, yeah, where we come from, where we live, the position we have at work, the salary we get. But first we need to understand, and research prove it, that 50% of our happiness is determined by our genetics. 10% depends on the circumstances. So we still have 40% for our intentional activities, basically. And this is where we have to work, because we can practice happiness. We can improve it, because again, it's a skill, it's a mindset, it's an attitude. So I think the first thing to understand is as well that we cannot be happy all the time. The most important thing is that we need to have more positive emotions than negative emotions through the day or through the week. And your happiness is your responsibility. So you need to start there. You need to understand that your happiness is your responsibility. And we cannot expect from other people to make us happy, or other things to make us happy. The starting point, basically, it's you. So as an entrepreneur, how can you be a bit happier in your workplace, especially now that, with the COVID situation, we are all locked in. It's quite tough. First, ask yourself, what do I need to be a bit happier in my work? Why do I need to, what's important for me? What motivates me? What are the drivers of my happiness at work? That's crucial. That's the starting point. And then, you have many things to do if you want to improve, or if you want to work on your happiness. The positive psychology, they prove that gratefulness, recognition, being connected to other people make us happier. So we can work on that. Then we can as well force ourselves to focus on the positive. We do have a tendency to remember more the negative emotions than the positive emotions. This is called the negativity bias. So by reflecting on the positive things that happen during the day, it will help us to basically reduce our negativity bias. So I always recommend my clients to reflect on the highlights of the day, or reflect on what are you grateful for today. I prefer the highlights of the day. I do it myself every day, and I do it as well with my kids. They love it. So just before going to bed, they just, share with me, Mom, what was your highlight of the day? And then I ask them as well, what was your highlight of the day? And then, it just starts a great discussion. So all of these small things we can all do on a daily basis. And this we can train, basically, we can train ourselves to be happier in the workplace, and
I
happier
love
in
that.
life.
And I know certainly for myself, once I started practicing gratitude on a daily basis, gosh, it started a few years ago now, but it really changed everything, because it does help you to see the negative things in perspective. That, okay, this bad thing happened, but hey, all these good things happen, because otherwise we can just dwell on that one bad thing. So it was quite hard at first, though. I was quite surprised as that, well, nothing good's happened, but now I can list off like so many good things that happened in the day, and I almost forget the bad things altogether.
It's really hard at the beginning. It's really hard to think about something good, to think about really something positive, but along the way you learn how to do it. So again, it's a skill, and it's really powerful. It's definitely powerful.
Yeah. So one thing that's kind of perhaps linked to that is this research, and it was I think it came out in HBR a long time ago, where you need to have 7 people say you're amazing, and if one person says you were rubbish, that one negative comment will wipe out all the good things. And when you're working alone, I think that's really a difficult thing, that you to manage that for yourself, so you don't end up in having these imposter syndrome, or thinking I'm not good enough, which is not really a positive way to build your business. If you have these thoughts, is that perhaps one way to negate that, is focusing on the positives, or are there any other tools people could use?
Definitely. I mean, focusing on the positive has only good impact. when I am struggling, and even me as a happiness at work expert or positivity expert, I'm struggling sometimes to see the positive. Like yesterday, I had a really tough and challenging day. And then, I was feeling a bit down. And then my husband came and said, okay, now you need to reflect on your highlight of the day. And then I was like, you know what, today it's really hard to find the highlight of the day, because even though I love what I do, sometimes I'm just, struggling. That's life, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, if you cannot reflect yourself on your highlights or being positive yourself, having the people around you, the people you love, the people who are ready to support you, coming to you and boosting a bit your mood and boosting your passion, it's definitely helpful. So it's all about networking. It's all about having the right network around us to go forward, I think.
Mm. Great. I love that advice. And one thing that I know as women are masters of is guilt. And I know
Yeah.
during during the lockdown, I extended my group program for an extra 3 months to make sure all my clients had support particularly during the first lockdown. And a lot of them were really struggling, and they felt that they should be more positive, but they didn't feel positive. It was tough, and they were struggling, and then they were feeling guilty for not feeling positive. Is that normal? Is there any way that we can, I mean, should we be happy clappy all the time, or is it okay
No.
to be like,
No,
okay?
we shouldn't be happy all the time. It's not possible. I mean, of course, it would be great, but the reality is it's not possible to be happy all the time. Again, the most important thing is to be happy most of the time, to have more positive emotions than negative emotions in general. But there are days like me yesterday, I had more, I wouldn't say negative emotions, but it was like stressful emotions, basically, which are a bit negative as well. But even though I was loving what I was doing, I was so struggling. It was stressful, and that's okay. I had a kind of a bad day yesterday, and that's fine. And I think it's important to acknowledge your emotions, because again, and research prove it, when you acknowledge your emotions, when you put words on your emotions, you get through them with less intensity. And
Mm.
that's the magic formula you need to understand. It's not about being happy all the time. When you are struggling, when you have negative emotions, accept it, acknowledge it, and then do something about it, because you cannot change the way you feel. You can change what you do with your emotions. You can do something with your emotions. You accept to either you go in these emotions, or then you do something about these emotions.
I love
And that's important to realize it.
Yeah, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to that.
Of course, put words on your emotions. Say
Yeah.
it out loud, share it with someone else. Just by, again, research proved, just by writing it down, or say it to someone else, it will already help you to accept this emotion. And if you accept it, you can take action.
Great. And there's a great tool that I personally use from another female entrepreneur who I must get on this show, actually, Manuela Berger. If you're out there and listening, Manuela, you've got to come on the show. And she developed a thing called feeling magnets, which is great because sometimes when we're in that negative space, we can't always think of the words to put to it. And when I've used that, I've realized that the root of my sort of anger or however I'm feeling is actually disappointment, or it's actually like it's overwhelm, or there's some other things. And just understanding where that's coming from I was then able to say, well, what can I do about this? And
Yeah,
where do I want to feel? And what's going to get me from A to B? And then I can switch that around pretty quickly. But as you say, putting words to it is really important.
definitely.
Aurelie, you've shared so much incredible advice, and I love that everything you shared about how we can be positive, and it's okay not to be positive all of the time, but just to reflect on our circumstances and find those happy highlights that we can bring out. But is there any advice from your personal journey that you haven't touched on yet that you'd like to share with other women?
I would say be authentic. Be authentic, don't fake it. If you don't believe in what you do or in what you sell or in your product, don't even start. I mean, the entrepreneur life is too hard to work on something we don't like or we don't believe in. So for me, being authentic and being passionate about what I do helped me a lot. And the other thing I would like to add, I think it's don't think too much, jump. and try to land on your feet like a cat, but just jump. Try it. Don't wait to have the perfect things ready. And I'm saying that now after 3 years. 3 years ago, I was like this. I was like jumping and trying things. Now I'm even, trying to remind myself as I am speaking to you that I need to jump more and not wait until everything is ready. But yeah, it helped me 3 years ago, and I need to go back into these rhythms, like just jump and try to land on your feet. That's
great advice. And I heard someone say recently that as entrepreneurs are like cats, we have 9 lives. So don't be don't think you
voila,
only
that's a
have
good
one, just go for it and use them all up.
yeah.
Great. Aurelie, thank you so much for all of the value you've shared. If people are listening to this podcast on the go, I'm going to put all of your links and information in the show notes below, but how can they find you?
They can follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm super active there. So you can just find Hapitude at Work. You follow the page. You can go on my website, hapitudeatwork.com. At the moment, I have a great feature on my website. If I might just speak about that for a second.
Yes.
It's
Please do. These are great.
Yeah, it's creating digital recognition cards. So basically, it's a great way to send nice messages to your colleagues, to spread positivity. So you can have a look on my website, hapitudeatwork.com/happycards. It's super easy to use. It's free. You can personalize your cards and send it very easily. So yeah.
In fact, I'd like to put a challenge out there to all of our listeners to go to your website and find those cards and send one to another female entrepreneur, because
Yes.
I think we don't get recognition, as you say, we're on our own a lot of the time. So I think receiving a card from someone else saying, you're doing a great job, hang in there, I think that would mean the world to people. And as you say, it's a free tool. So go and grab those. So hapitudeatwork.com.
Yes. Yes.
Great. Aurelie, thank you so much.
Thanks to you. Thank you, Manita.